Good morning, everyone. Myself, Vivek Gomade, Assistant Professor, Department of Information Science and Engineering, Sai Institute of Technology, Rajankunte, Bengaluru. Today, we're going to see the most important concept in Module 1, Database System Environment. In the diagram, we can see we have two parts in this diagram, the upper part and the lower part. So we say top half of the diagram and the lower half part of the diagram. We can see that here in the upper part, we're going to see the users, database, the DBA staff, casual user, application programmer, parametric users. And this is the some of the process they're going to perform on the DBA staff, right? The top half usually refers to the various users of the database environment and their interface with the lower half. The lower half contains the internals of the DBMS responsible for storage and data and processing of a transaction. So whatever the request sent from the top half, it's going to be processed at the lower half. It's totally indicating the DBMS processing unit. So the top half will be the user interface, how the user is going to interact with the database. So the DBA staff, the detailed statement of privilege commands. The DBA is database administrator. He is the one who is going to have a privilege commands. So he is having a privilege command so that he can create the account. You can give the authorization for the other users to use on the database. So DBA is going to use the DDL statement. To perform the DDL statement, the DDL compiler is there in the DBMS. So this DDL statement is going to compile, and compiled data is going to be stored in the system catalog or metadata. Right? This previous command is going to be used by the DBA staff. In the same way, the casual user is the user who is going to interact with the DBMS in the form of queries. We're going to interact with the DBMS in the form of queries. So to compile the query in the DBMS, they having a query compiler. It's going to compile that query and it's going to optimize the query. After optimizing, the optimized request is going to be sent for the at the lower half of the database environment. The application programmer, next one who is going to write the code. He's going to write the code in the form of some of the programming languages. So the application programmer, he will write the program. In that program, it contains the database statement also, it contains the SQL statement also, and some of the programming language also. Right? So this pre-compiler, what you're going to do, it will compile the program, it will divide the program, it's going to divide the program. How it's going to divide? It's going to separate the SQL statement. It's going to separate the SQL statement. That SQL statement will be sent to DML compiler. Other than the SQL statement, the normal programming language, language code is going to send to the host language compiler. So I will repeat here, the application programmer will write the application program, he will write the code. In that code, it contains the SQL statement also and also the programming language also. What this pre-compiler will do, it will split, it's going to split the SQL statement, it's going to separate the SQL statement from the program. The separated SQL statement is sent to the DML compiler, and the remaining program is going to send for the host language compiler. So this host language compiler is going to compile the normal programming language, and the DML compiler will compile the SQL statement. So it's going to compile both SQL statement and the language statements. This parametric user is going to compile transaction, because parametric user repeatedly is going to use the same database. That's why it directly in contact with the compiled transaction. So all these requests from the users, is sent to the database processor, runtime database processor. It will take this request from the users, it will process. DBA commands sent by the DBA, the queries sent by the casual user, and the application program parameter sent by the transactions. All this information it will take, and it will perform according to the what the user has been sent. This runtime database processor is going to process the data. We're going to process the data. The data is will be stored in the stored database and in the metadata. As I said, in the DBMS, there are two storage medium. One medium is wait as a catalog. Second medium is a stored database. If the data is removed from this stored database, we can easily recover from the metadata. Right? So this system data runtime data processor is in contact with store data manager, nothing but the operating system. Why it should be in contact with the operating system? Because the data we are going to store in the database, that is in the system only, in a hard disk or some place, that is managed by the operating system. That is going to be managed by the operating system. So the database processor is in contact with the store data manager. So it is in contact with store data, that is input and output from the database. Whatever the input it is taking, whatever the output it is taking from this database, from the system, it is going to be all managed by the operating system. Right? So after the process is done here, it will retrieve the data, and that information of result will be sent back to the up top of the database. This is how the database system environment will perform. Basically, in short, DBA staff and casual user, application program, and parametric user are going to be are going to be in contact with the DBMS. So it's going to process the request sent by the users, and after processing, it will send back the result to the users. This is how the top half and the lower half of the database are in contact, or intact to perform the any of the tasks which is sent by the users. Thanks for watching.